The more a woman uses a vibrator, the more she actually shuts down some of her pleasure structures, the more she can actually go towards more dysfunction and less feeling. And vibrators do not teach us how to connect with another person. So we have a hard time connecting with a partner when we're really reliant on the vibrator. I don't say don't use them, but understand them, the context of them, and start understanding your anatomy and broaden what's available to you and what you give to yourself so that you have everything accessible to yourself, not just a narrow bandwidth.
Okay, well, it's a real pleasure to have Dr. Saida Desilets on the show again. Welcome.
I'm so happy to be here, Zora. I love speaking with you. I love this community. I love what you're doing. It's so great.
Likewise, that's why you're here again. So I will have a link to the first episode in the show notes so that people can just catch up to speed, because that episode was more like getting to know you and what do you do? I was looking for somebody to cover sexual health or sexuality from a biopsychosocial perspective, because we've had the doctors on use vaginal cream, or we've had a lot of other people talk about like the physical things that we can do, testosterone. And then I find out through our community, there are a lot of women who are like, nah, vagina's juicy and I've got the testosterone, it doesn't do anything, and my libido's low, I'm on hormones. Okay, there's more to this. And I'm one of those too. I want to be very transparent. We're going to dive into my sex life. It's going to be a little juicy here, but I was expecting so much with my testosterone cream. I was telling my husband, I'm putting on my sex cream. Hang on. Like, this is going to be a wild ride. And then I was like, I don't feel anything. The first episode is kind of covered why isn't that working and what else can we do? And you specialize too in trauma and things that have happened to us in the past. And after interviewing so many people and talking to so many women, I feel like it's almost unusual if you don't have some kind of sexual trauma. Like, it's quite prevalent, right?
Yeah. Very prevalent. It's more prevalent than the statistics say, because it's a highly unreported experience. A lot of people who have trauma, some of them don't even realize, myself included, that the experience that was had was actually violation. And so sometimes it goes unreported because we're either just used to really bad, not nice sex, or really bad, not nice relating. We get used to those things depending on how we're brought up. And so we don't realize this was a violation of my body or my heart or my mind or my being. And then we don't report it. And then later we find out, like, oh, that's why I'm feeling kind of put off by these things. And then there's a reclamation process. So there's a lot of these things go unreported.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. And you may not even realize it because you were raised in a certain way, or you just didn't know. And that's why you got through into this. And so you do have programs on that, helping women through it. So I'll have definitely people connected to you with that. But after the episode, I said, I wanted to dive more into your programs. I was like, this is because you got all kinds of programs.
I'm not programs,
or at least I'm not aware that I have any sexual trauma. Maybe it's there. I don't know. So I thought, I'm that kind of person. I've been married for 30 years, and I was like, let's just spice this up. I think there's a whole cohort of women who are a bit like that. It's not bad sex or anything. It's just like routine. And after interviewing Susan Bratton, and she's just like, it's not eating at the 5-star Italian restaurant, you're eating at the corner stand. Who wants that? So I dove into, you suggested I start with your 9 naughty nights. I think that's what it was called, right?
For you and your partner, yes.
Yeah. And I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, we can get my husband in on this. And then, because it's a joint effort here, right? And I want to learn something. I'm always like, honey, we're going to go to sex school. We're going to learn how to do sex. He's just, what in the world? He's very tolerant of all my ideas. But what happened, and this was like several months already, maybe 3 months since the interview, and I had access to this program, and life happened, and it took me forever to get started. And so I did. And then I got through 2 nights, and then my husband left for business, but I could have got myself organized. And I almost canceled this. I said, let's delay it again, because I think I already delayed it because he was gone for about a month. And so I said, no, I'm actually going to keep this interview, because I think that's kind of the reality of things too. And
it is the reality of things. Plus, I would like to normalize something for you. So the important thing, like say there's 9 dates, great. That doesn't mean it's 9 days in a row. There are couples who literally will spend a month just on the first date and really get used to it and play with it and make it their own. And then they move into the next one. So there's no set rules on how you explore other than in kind of the sequencing that we did, it builds upon itself. And if a person is stuck on one, we're like, just move to the next one. Don't stay stuck. Because sometimes what you learn in another one makes that first one or that second one easier. Does that make sense? So there's a lot more erotic intelligence and a lot less like prescriptive, you have to do it this way in this time. So I just want to say that to you so you can take a big breath and go, I might have 9 months of fun exploration versus 9 like nights, because now you can play with one of the concepts over a longer period of time.
I got it. Oh, I was like, no, let's bang this out. Let's do it 9 days in a row. I don't know if you know or if I told you about this. It was right up during COVID. I discovered Kim Anami. Do you know who she is? So she's,
Yes.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting what she's doing. And I've gotten to this whole, let's always invite women to talk about sex. I think it's cool. So I found somewhere that she was doing a 30-day sex challenge, something like that. And I don't even really, I didn't read the rules or anything. I just like, oh, okay, sex for 30 days. Let's do it. She was explaining how you can actually learn so much about each other and there's things that happen. So I said, okay, let's do this. So I told my husband, I was like, that's it. We're going to do this. And he's like, okay, so what are the rules? Is it penetration? Or is it just like that? And I'm like, I don't know, but your wife is telling you to have sex with you every single day for 30 days. Don't ask. What are you talking about? And so that was a really fun challenge. I did learn. We had a lot of fun, actually. And I'm kind of like that. I like a challenge. Let's do that. And that's, I don't know. My husband's, well, then that's not like really getting into it because you love it. You just like the game. But is that so wrong, actually? That's kind of what makes it fun for me, a little bit of a challenge, but maybe that's
I
not the
think
right
it's different
approach.
personalities. Like you're definitely a go-getter. You work out, you move your body, you like some form of structure, but you also love to challenge your body. You love to explore new ideas. It's like a personality thing. Other people like to be very comfortable and like really understand. Like he sounds like he likes rules and following the rules. And so there's different personality types, which you can eroticize those, by the way. So we have that in the Embodied Love University. We have a whole erotic mind course where people can really start playing with what's natural to them and then being invited into exploring maybe some erotic frameworks that are a little bit out of your identity, let's say, or your comfort zone. And you're like, really? I could maybe try that one just to see what it feels like. Because why not have that flexibility, have that exploration? We can settle on salt and pepper, but sometimes it's nice to have a few extra spices in there. So
Especially after 30 years.
yes, yes. And it's beautiful that you love each other. It's beautiful that he still is leaning in. He's curious. Like, how wonderful that you have that.
Yeah, no, I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky. It's just sometimes you get wish they would be more into something, or he wishes that I would be more into something, or but that's, I guess, the nature of being together and you have a partner.
Yes.
It's never perfect. But the one thing that I wanted to bring up is because we started the 9 naughty nights
Yeah.
first day. And I love the structure and how you instruct with your male counterpart. What's his name?
Aaron. Aaron
Dar-
Michael. Yeah.
Darren?
Aaron Michael. Yeah.
Aaron Michael, yeah. And it's really cute. And just to give people a heads up, it's not like you're all naked and all this. You do show positions. And this is exactly what I wanted because I don't have at least that I'm aware of, the sexual trauma. And I work a lot on myself and my mental health. And I think that's a lot of people in your space are saying, look, you got to know yourself and please yourself first and figure out what you want. And I think that's a huge component. And so there's a lot of breath work or meditation or all this stuff. But I kind of do that. So I kind of was like, okay, I'm ready for this kind of stuff. I kind of want instruction or something new without following porn or something.
Yes.
And so you did it in a really tasteful way. And I really like, because you can see, I don't want to say graphic, but you can see two people on positions and like how more or less to get there
Well, kind
without
of like
being,
at the gym, right? When you do your training videos,
yeah.
you're dressed in gym clothes. You have the weights or you have whatever it is you're using, and you're showing us so that we can see what's going on, and then we can go and try it out.
Yeah.
And so that's what we wanted to do. We put some more like gym style clothes where you can see clearly the body movements, like learning a dance class, like if you were following a dance instruction, but this one's dancing in bed. And so we do it on the bed just so to kind of show you what it could look like in the bed, but again, clothed, and there's no need to see nakedness at this point. It's like just coordinate your hips or coordinate your breath and understand how to do that from both bodies so that you can see what both bodies are doing in each scenario.
Yeah, it's cool. I like the way you did it. I thought it was really good. And
We
I like,
wanted to also do playful, like dates instead of like long instructions with, I mean, some of our clients complain that one of the courses they did, it was an hour and a half of talking and philosophy and
yes.
instruction. They're like, we just want to play. We have 20 minutes. We just want to play. And so we actually had done the course. We trashed the first version and we're like, no, if someone just wants something fun for that night, we need to keep our videos short, clear, like one thing they can bring into their routine that they're already doing, things they're comfortable with. You just bring one new thing so that you're not disrupting the couple and how they actually like to connect. You're just adding an extra insight.
Yeah, well done. It's kind of like those videos sometimes on YouTube. I would do like 15-minute abs, and then you don't want the girl like talking and talking and whine the form. Like, okay, I know, I've got it. I like the videos you just play and she's already doing her push-ups or sit-ups
Yes,
or whatever. And you're
because
like,
you're in the mood. You're like ready to work out. You don't want all
yeah.
the philosophy. You want to work out in that moment.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not that's not important. It is important, but sometimes you're
Very.
like, I got it, I got it. So you need to cater to people who need to hear it for the first time and those
Yes.
who've heard it a million times. I also really liked that the two of you there together explaining things kind of from each other's perspective, seeing intimacy through a man's eyes and through a woman's eyes, because if it's one person explaining, then you only hear that person's perspective.
Correct.
And
Yes.
so I was like, oh, I guess that's what my husband may be feeling, when Aaron says something. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So that was really good. But the thing is, so we're sitting in bed and watching this. I'm like, okay, we're gonna play. That's what I always say. I was like, honey, you wanna go play? He's like,
Yes.
yes, let's go play. And so we're watching, and I see he's just not into it. That was annoying. And I'm totally focused. Listen what they're saying. And he did it because I asked him to do it, but he wasn't like curious and excited. And I know a lot of women who's listening probably could understand this struggle. So
Yes.
why is there's this resistance, and then how can I work around this?
Beautiful question. Yeah, beautiful question. Well, there's multiple layers to that. So one thing collectively that we hold that actually isn't accurate is that sex is natural and we don't need to learn anything about it. Bodies just already know what they're doing. If that was true, we'd all be having epic sex. So it's not true. Secondly, we learn through what's in the collective. What's the biggest teacher? Porn. So if what you're seeing isn't that, then it's what am I watching? This isn't a sex act. Now there's two people clothed on a bed. What are they doing? What are they talking about? Why am I doing something with my unaroused penis? Like one of those, that is strange. Thirdly, especially for men, they want to feel like they're leading. They want to feel like they have the knowledge, they have the skill, they know how to wow you, they know how to please you. And so for some men, when the woman wants to learn something, it almost feels to the guy, like you're saying, you're not quite good enough. Let's improve your skills.
Yeah.
And it hurts. And
Yeah.
so they shut down a little bit. So part of making that more fun is already reassuring. I just love our connection. I love when we play together, reinforcing the things you really enjoy. And it might be possible. I think the first lesson is painting, if I'm
Yes.
correct.
Yes. Painting.
So imagine that you just watched it and you learned it, and you're like, babe, I want to try this new thing. I think it's hot. And you did it without him having to watch the video, and you just played with his penis that way and pleasured yourself that way with that, and you learned it, you bringing it in, and you're like, I really love this is turning me on. So he's getting more like your enthusiasm, your feedback, without being told, you didn't say that you're a crappy lover. But putting a video in front of him can imply that That's the lens through which the person is looking at things. So can be a stumbling point, but women are the leaders in the bedroom most of the time. Women are the ones who are curious. Women are the ones who want to learn, who are willing to learn, who are willing to explore, which you would think would be the opposite, but it's just across the board. I would say 80% of the time, it seems to be like it's the female that really leads this conversation. And so what needs to happen is the reassurance. I love you, you're hot, like everything about you is, I'm turned on. And I'm exploring this thing because I want to be even more turned on. I want to have even more sensation when you're with me. And because for you, what you expressed earlier, like I was excited about testosterone. I thought I would have all this sensation. And then I was like, eh. So you want sensation. So framing it like, I want to feel you more. I want to feel like every minute movement that you do with me. And that's going to give me even more pleasure, which is going to be even more of a turn on. When you kind of reinforce the positive, you reinforce the connection, you reinforce that it feels good, or those things are more motivating than, here, let's just watch this together and try something new. Because sometimes, as I said, it can really feel like a blow to the ego. And then that's a shutdown. And then there's going to be constant resistance. There's always a bit of a pushback instead of a fun. And some guys, they really do love to just jump in. Like they're that personality type, they love to jump in. If he's the type that really has certain rules and he's very precise, then he's already thinking, I know how to do this stuff. Why are we doing this? So for you then to just bring in what you learned in a playful way, and you're trying it out and you're like, you're not even saying I'm going to do something necessarily that I just learned today, but you're like, oof, does that feel nice? It feels really nice for me. And you're experimenting. Then you're bringing in that fresh new stuff without kind of implying that it's out of his range. And then you bring him into the range. It's invitational. And for you have already a great partner. Some people, it's even more difficult, like completely difficult, where there is also sexual dysfunction, where the man's penis isn't getting aroused or isn't lasting very long. There's these types of issues. And so erotic innocence tends to be our greatest tool in those moments. What do I mean by that? Entering a space not from the attitude of, I'm going to make this better or I'm going to fix something. Rather, entering the space, because innocence implies there's no good, bad, right, wrong. Innocence implies just being present with whatever arises and enjoying that. And when you can bring that quality to the experience and really use that as a mindset, then it doesn't matter what happens. If he doesn't want to watch the video, who cares? I already saw it and I already know. And I'm going to just try this on my own. And you just invite in that way and just see how that feels. And then move into the things that he does really like. So you don't have to stay like 30 minutes doing that one new thing. You could try it for 30 seconds or a minute. And then as things start to get juicier between your bodies, then there might be a natural curiosity that emerges. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm thinking about, so I mean, I don't have it too bad, but so I shouldn't be complaining, but imagine if you haven't had sex with your partner for months, maybe some women are years, and they've just shut down through this menopause period. And maybe partly because of vaginal dryness and it hurts and they're starting that out. But let's say that's sorted out. And then since it's been so long, it's almost like probably hard to get back into it once you've solved the sort of the physical problem. So then would this program in particular be still an okay starting point for somebody like that? Or should they?
Yes, and so
you have so many programs. I don't know, there's something else.
Yeah, if the body is shut down and there's been difficulty with tissue health and lubrication, then we have something called Awakened Sensual Woman, which a woman can do alone, or she can also include her partner. And what's really beautiful about this, it's a co-created piece. So Aaron, he's the sex coach. So he comes on with a female pelvis and really shows each of the pleasure anatomy pieces, which is very important. It's not reproductive anatomy, it's pleasure anatomy. It's very different. Because now you're starting to understand your physical structures from how they're meant to function for pleasure, not reproduction. Reproductive sexual education is useless, and that's what we have. That's 100% what's out there. there's people talk about pleasure, but they still teach reproductive anatomy, whether they're a sex therapist or sex coach or whatever. But somehow Aaron figured out he had all his own dysfunction and his own stuff with his wife and had to solve these problems and came up with this understanding that then he used with thousands of clients. So here you watch on a model very specifically touch techniques and start to understand the anatomical structures from a pleasure perspective. Then I do a meditation, which is basically an embodied meditation where we work hands-on with our own body. I lead you through it step by step, breath by breath, so that you start developing a new orientation, new skill set, and we stay with that until that part of the body regenerates itself, which is so important. It's so important because the lack of blood flow into the genitals is one of the primary reasons there's numbness, or even once you go from numbness, a lot of pain, because the numbness is hiding the pain and that pain is tension. And then there's also atrophy. So we have to work with all these elements, but thankfully the body wants to be healthy. So you give it the right tools, the right breath, the right intention, and start to flourish. So that's very exciting. And a woman can do this just for herself. First, just kind of explore your own body, really have an attitude of not this should work this way, but ooh, my second spring, I get to rediscover this beautiful new part of my body from a whole new perspective. What does she need now? Because I think you know this, Zora. A woman who's in her 40s and older has to work out differently than when she did in her 20s. It's just different. It's not bad, it's not worse, it's different. You need to take care of things in a different way, have a different kind of intention, and in some ways be even more present in the body. So when we're in that second spring, sexually, how we came at our bodies when we were young isn't necessarily going to work now. So now you get to learn from your own body, your own tissue, what does work. Instead of trying to impose, well, this used to work, why is it not working? And the body's like, stop, it doesn't like it. Oh, okay, show me what works. So the body starts to show you, start to learn. Now, when you gain that, you're going to gain more, the tissue will get more resilient. You'll be able to self-lubricate better. Any areas of tension that actually create a burning sensation, I think burning sensations are very common, that you'll be able to dissolve those places of tension, and then that burning sensation also dissolves. All of this stuff you can do for yourself, and then share it with your partner. Show them that piece of anatomy. Show them the touch while you do the breath, so that together you can prepare the vulva for intercourse. Mm-hmm. And at first it's like, what? But honestly, I mean, my partner and I, we do that sometimes. It's not because you're dysfunctional. I feel like I need to open up a little bit more before we do this other thing. And he's always like, let's do it. Mm. And so we do that. And then we're both rewarded with the pairing of the bodies being way more delicious, way more in sync, way more pleasurable for both bodies, actually. So Awakened Sensual Woman is such an empowering, and women, interestingly, when they did it, there was other side effects. They started to feel more confident. Their physical posture changed because you're changing the pelvic floor. You're changing how these structures are sitting. And so suddenly the whole body is shifting. You walk differently. It's really quite incredible. And you're doing that for yourself, which I think is the most empowering thing. It's not about giving you like one technique and then you're trying to emulate it. It's actually activating your erotic intelligence and helping you feel somatically that intelligence, feel somatically like where is the pleasure and where is it leading me? That intelligence is what creates breakthrough, liberation, and incredible experience for women. And I don't care the age. I've literally had women like 50s, 60s, 70s completely transform their genitals when they understand these concepts.
Okay. So how long, because you said you called this Awakened Sensual Woman, and that sounds like a really cool program. I have to dive into that one next because it could be for anyone. It doesn't matter.
Anyone, any age. I mean, it can be someone who's never had sex before. It could be someone who's just given birth and is trying to reclaim the tissue health of this area. It could be someone who's had a type of cancer or is on certain blockers and the body stops working properly because they're not getting the right kind of hormonal information. And it could be someone who's going through the perimenopause, menopause, or even postmenopause. It could be at any stage, because culturally, right now, all your listeners, you and I, culturally, we hold a little bit of tension in the pelvis because it doesn't always feel safe for us to, say, be in the world. And even if our situation is safe, we're seeing yucky things day in and day out, and that creates micro tensions. And those micro tensions, they do build up. Sitting in a chair over and over, not great for the pelvic floor. How we work ourselves out into sexual dysfunction over and over again. One of my colleagues, Isa Herrera, she's a pelvic pain therapist that used to have a clinic in Manhattan. And she would see like predominantly women 18, 19, 20, 21 years old with severe prolapse, like stage 3 or 4.
What?
From too much yoga, too much Pilates, too much gym.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know that could happen.
Yes. Women who are very stressed, who say, like, my sister had a stalker once in her 20s, went completely dry vaginally. We have to understand that these symptoms are not just a particular age group, just related to hormones. Hormones are responsive to our felt states. Hormones are responsive to situations because they're part of our communication system in the body. So really understanding that any phase of life as an adult woman, it is in your birthright, your empowerment to understand your pleasure anatomy, to have control of that. There's different things that are happening all the time. But if I have one day where I'm like, oh, that feels a little strange there, I know what to do. I understand that part of my body. I know how to open myself back up. I know how to make myself feel good, not just blast myself into orgasm with a vibrator. And in fact, too much vibrator use creates a lot of pelvic tension, which can lead to sexual dysfunction as well. So we have to be really aware that vibrators being promoted as female empowerment, there's a lack of understanding. The more a woman uses a vibrator, the more she actually shuts down some of her pleasure structures, the more she can actually go towards more dysfunction and less feeling. And vibrators do not teach us how to connect with another person. So we have a hard time connecting with a partner when we're really reliant on the vibrator. I don't say don't use them, but understand them, the context of them, and start understanding your anatomy and broaden what's available to you and what you give to yourself so that you have everything accessible to yourself, not just a narrow bandwidth.
Yeah, I've heard that too, that vibrators too much use because you just kind of become insensitive to it. And it's not the same as being highly sensitive to someone barely touching you. And then you're just like, wow, really feel it. And I
Yes.
think the same goes for, there was the second, I think it was the second date that we went through, and a guy just like pumping, like just push, push, push. And is it because he needs more stimulation or not? And then Aaron had taught, and this is, I really would love my husband to get into this, is like how instead of pushing forward, you're actually just
Reversing.
arching your back and doing, it's almost like a dance. And my husband does not know how to dance. So he was like,
But your husband and you, both of you, can learn, it's called the reverse thrust.
yeah.
So you can learn that, and that really helps with engorgement and can actually lead to orgasm very quickly. So it's quite lovely for
Yeah.
to bring that in. But it's also one that can de-escalate if you're feeling like, oh, we don't want this to stop and we're getting close to that stopping. And you're right. When men are really vigorously pumping, a lot of times their penises are desensitized. They're not feeling anything, and they don't feel anything until the very moment where they actually ejaculate. So they're chasing that one tiny second of sensation. So there is also, on the male side, the AFAP program, which is a resensitizing of the male genitals. And also we've noticed, I mean, sounds crazy, but we have plenty of men who've been through, can only last 30 seconds or whatever their timing is, And within day 3, I've already gone to 30 minutes or more, and they're starting to go into expanded states of pleasure, which is mind-blowing to me. Very simple. Designed for a guy. This is not designed for women. The way that we did it is designed for a guy. And Aaron has stacked, like you do 1 minute only of practice. Day 2, you do 2 minutes. So it's super easy. But the fun part is that when you're done that 21 days, if you want, you can then include your partner in the next round. And so then
Oh,
there's
cool.
instructions on how to do that. So it's a really beautiful program to really allow men to feel fully in charge of their body, fully sensitized, and capable suddenly of not just one type of orgasm, but full body orgasm, multiple orgasms for themselves. And strangely, when a man learns that, he actually, as a side effect, becomes a better lover. So one of the attendees, his partner had endometriosis, which is very painful, especially for intercourse. And she came on and spoke with us, and she said, we're having like, we can actually have sex for a long period of time and it actually feels good in my body, and I'm actually having orgasm from penetration. And there was not even any teachings on couple stuff. It was just her man learning how to breathe differently, learning how to move differently, learning how to really be in his body and be attuned through his body in such a way that he could read her body so much better. So that's what I love. All of this work is based on a method, not techniques. And that methodology has now been medically published in a paper. So we've actually solved the orgasm gap with this method. And so I'm really happy you're exploring it. I'm happy you're talking about it, because we need to actually bloom open the pleasure frontier for people, take them out of just like how to deal with dysfunction. Because yes, but there's all this optimization that's available to us in the arena of pleasure and eroticism that we never talk about. And we predominantly don't talk about it because most people who are talking about it are not having sex. And if they are having sex, it's not very good. So I always like to look at, well, who are the ones who are actually have a great relationship, having a great sex life, and what are they saying about it? Because most of the time when I'm teaching professionals and I say, show of hands who had an orgasm today, there are no hands that go up in that room. Show of hands who had an orgasm in the last week, no hands go up in that room. Show of hands in the last month, maybe 1 or 2 will go up. And yet those are the very ones promoting, get your vibrator, do this thing, watch some porn, like whatever. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So the lack of embodied, it'd be like a fitness trainer telling you all this stuff, but they never train.
Yeah, that's
Right.
crazy. Yeah.
And then they're trying to inform you, which happens. I see it all the time on Instagram. People don't know what they're doing. They use, I don't know, like models as their supposed clients, but it's fake. It's either AI generated or they just took a video from somewhere and pretended it was their client. And they're putting all these weird standards and then don't know what they're doing. I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm not even a fitness person, but I know that they don't know what they're talking about. Now, in the realm of sex, because as a population, undereducated, and our bedroom IQ does need to be elevated, we don't know right from wrong, good or bad, or anything. We have no discernment because it's just not there. The education's not there. So I just feel very honored to be here today and to talk and bring lucidity and responsibility and beauty to something that's extremely important, because pleasure, especially for someone going through menopause, post-menopause, is one of the most important felt states to support our well-being. We must understand how to generate and be in and accept and tolerate even greater levels of pleasure.
Yeah, we don't talk about pleasure enough, or we may, oh, it's not, I don't know, it's not the priority. But I did an interesting episode with Dr. Kelly Casperson, who's a urologist, and I posed the question, hey, how important is it to have a healthy sex life and things like that? And it was interesting, her response. I was expecting the kind of the typical, we know physiologically it's all really beneficial to have blood flow for your vaginal health. I was kind of expecting a little bit more of that. I did bring in the Harvard study of adult development and how relationships and intimacy, sex or no sex, is whatever, that's an important part. But she said it would be very mean to say that just you got to have pleasure and you got to have sex when you are feeling so bad. She's thinking about the woman who's dealing with all these horrible symptoms is not sleeping, has night sweats and hot flashes, and low libido, dry vagina. And it's true. Yeah. You're like, how can you talk about that? Because the poor woman just needs to like fix herself. So it's true. I think we do have to make sure like all you're sleeping well and you're not really suffering, because it does make sense like how to expect, and then to keep pushing and that lever. You gotta get your sex life sorted out because it's good for your vaginal health and it's good for your longevity, and assuming people want to live a longer, happier life. And it was interesting. Yeah. So then I was like, I kind of go, oh, okay, well, because I'm always banging the drum. Oh my God, it is really important because I know the research shows. But at the same time, we have to be a little empathetic for the woman who's really suffering and go, what?
Absolutely.
Put it on. She puts it on the back burner, but hopefully get around to it.
What I've seen is a few things. So where we end up is often a result of life choices that we've made up until here. So if a person's never worked out, or a person has been in a relationship that doesn't feel very fulfilling or good, or a person has a really crappy job that they just feel numb or angry at every day for like years and years and years, this does create an erosion over time of the person's nervous system, of their hormonal system, of their pleasure system. So what I've noticed with clients like that is yes, let's change the lifestyle things that are important so that you can start feeling better on your body. Let's get you just hydrated more. Let's get you walking in the morning. Let's get you some sunshine, whatever, these simple life things that don't cost a lot of money. Let's get you back into actually feeling that you have a body, because a lot of people don't live in their body. They live kind of the neck up. Simultaneously to that, though, we must advocate and understand, okay, so maybe we're not going to address your vagina, but we are going to address that when you have your favorite beverage, you're going to pause and actually take some joy out of it. And the reason for that is we are a culture that's so focused on yuck and fixing yuck and selling all these things. And then we dangle the yum over here without actually understanding that yum is available right here, right now, no matter what our condition is. Yum could just be take a moment and feel the yumminess of sunshine on the skin. Just take a breath when you step outside. Give that to yourself. Yum might be touching the cheek of your grandkids and they're smiling at you and they're like, and you see this bright little face just beaming at you, like, yes. Or maybe your favorite pet. I don't know, maybe a plant that you really love. And allowing this connection to life, the beauty that is around to actually have some impact, because we get so tunneled vision on what is wrong. We don't notice that there's actually a lot of yum available right now. And if we can just start doing that, what we're doing is a reorientation. And when we do that, then the life hacks that we're attempting to move towards so that we can feel better, now they might even feel a little more pleasurable to make the effort to go and hydrate or make the effort to go and move. So it's a very important both and conversation. We shouldn't leave it out. And again, we shouldn't dangle it like this prize out of reach. It's not out of reach. There is yum available side by side with yuck, but the shift of our attention is probably the greatest flex that a human being can do as an adult. What am I paying attention to? Where do I invest my attention? Is it only always in what's wrong? Because that really creates a stress in the body. And are we have aversion to what's yummy? Do we even allow it? I have clients who I'm just shocked day in and day out how little beauty they even allow themselves to breathe in. They want it, they're desperate for it. But when it comes towards them, they cringe, they get afraid, they push it away. And I'm like, okay, so let's start there. Let's just start with the breath. Can you not take a breath, receive a breath. And then relax as you let go of that breath. Receive another breath. Can you do that? Really fully receive it. Can you feel it beyond your lungs? Can you feel, oh, actually the breath goes right down into my belly. Oh, actually it goes right down into my genital. Actually, I feel it everywhere in my body. That's a nice feeling. Great. So now we're starting to slowly condition the body out of always this sympathetic tension into adding a little bit of relaxed arousal. I think we talked about that last time, where there's this capacity to allow a little bit of regeneration, allow a little bit of ease, while we're also maintaining like functionality and precision and arousal. So this flexibility between those two nervous systems is resilience, is aliveness, is vitality. When they're stuck, then we have problems. So if the conversation of pleasure is too soon, fine, because I speak a lot, say, to the cancer communities, pleasure is not a word we want to hear right away. But feeling safe in our own body at home there, that would be nice. I don't know how to do that because my body betrayed me. But yes, that would be nice. Okay, so how do we do that? One little breath at a time. One little noticing of a yum. So if I notice a yuck, can I find a yum? And just when we start there, then we start calibrating in our own system a possibility of being open. Well, what else is possible? Could I feel a little better? And it is. So that Awaken the Sensual Woman, that capacity to be with ourselves in a very intimate, loving, kind, respectful way is a huge reprogramming for the majority of women who have not treated themselves very nicely most of their life.
It sounds a lot like gratitude, paying attention or mindfulness and being grateful for that simple pleasure, whatever it is. It's your coffee in the morning, or so many people love that first coffee in the morning, or whatever it is. And I
I
think
have
that,
my raw cacao
oh, you have,
spiced up with cardamom and all kinds of nice things in there.
oh, yeah, that's pleasure. So that's why sometimes, very often, like you have this program and many others too, they always start with that. And I think that makes perfect sense. Bringing in that pleasure, yeah, whatever that is, and that gratitude
Yeah.
for that. And that makes sense. And I understand the mindfulness, the meditation, meditating on something. So I haven't seen in your program, but you probably do have something where you go through and if you were to close your eyes and you pay attention to your genitals or your vagina or your wherever you're thinking about that, it feels like you're sending blood flow there because you're
Yes.
focusing on it and you're just looking at it. You're not like touching it. You're not like trying to make an orgasm or something. You're just literally thinking about your vagina and you're sitting with your eyes closed. You're like, I don't know, because you've done the research and you're the
Yes.
doctor here with the PhD. Is that literally the brain sending chemicals and bringing more blood flow just because you focused on that area?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of why Olympic athletes or like high performance athletes do a lot of visualization into the parts of their bodies that they are needing to optimize. The brain doesn't discern the difference. It's just there. When you think about it, it's there. And so then things activate. There are two practices that I give for that. One, first, before we even get into connecting with the genitals, is just a general body love meditation. Like taking a moment, starting somewhere where you actually love something and connecting with that, and then moving through the body to the places we don't love so much and apologizing for the way we criticize it, apologizing for maybe the way that we treated that part. This meditation, so many women just end up crying and like really having a reclamation of kindness towards all their different parts because we are a little bit cruel to ourselves inwardly. So I find that's crucial before we go into pleasure practice. Then the heart genital practice is probably my most foundational one that I give everyone, whether they're a PhD sex therapist or a beginner, because there is a strong link. I could get into the science of it, but it would take a whole other episode, between the heart area and the genitals, and just having a sense of my heart, the part of me that can breathe and feels warm and accepting or respectful. And I bring that warmth down into my genitals and I just imagine warmth spreading there, or the sensation of respect kind of enveloping everything. We've never really practiced that. So it can be a very profound way to build intimacy with ourselves. And when we do, that does translate with a partner. But we first, as you were saying earlier, the importance of solo cultivation, being able to understand how our body's working, understand our own pleasures and our own the whole landscape, the erotic landscape of our minds, the whole emotional spectrum that we are as human beings. And that level of self-love and self-acceptance it's part of being a mature, healthy woman. It's really quite lovely. And so these conversations at this stage of life, they're so important because, okay, yeah, you could continue to put yourself down and feel bad, or you can realize this is your second spring. You have a whole other time of life to bloom and explore and be an even better partner to yourself.
I love that. Yeah, you're right. Definitely, we don't give enough time to ourselves, and in that sense. But that's why I think that's one of the powers of menopause is that we can reclaim this, and we do.
Yeah.
We have a bit more time. Not everyone. We have to think about the sandwich generation. Sometimes women have taking care of aging parents, and then they still have kids in the home. Like that just must be so hard. Like I have it so easy. Unfortunately, my parents have passed away, and I don't have that issue. And my kids are all grown up and
Mhm.
gone, so I do have this time. And I sometimes forget what a privilege it is. I got no excuses to work on my sex life,
Yeah.
and so let's talk about then, we've got to wrap up here, but maybe for that person who is really struggling and assuming she's trying to take care of herself first. Okay, let's say she's doing the yoga or breath work or exercising and eating well, doing her best that she can. And then has the aging parents, has some kids maybe going off to college and it's really stressed. How are you helping women in that category to
Mhm.
even look at consider their sexual life? I mean, I guess if they're coming to you, maybe they are understanding it should be a priority, but I know that there's this loss of connection with their partner. And very often they'll be married 20, 30, 40 years. And it's like they're good people. They want to work. I know some of these women in our community, they want to work on this relationship, but it's just like, or when, and how do you help them get over that?
Then I would focus on micro moments and I wouldn't focus necessarily on sex. I would focus on micro moments of appreciation because appreciation is very magnetic. So it can actually start you feeling sexy. And when you start to reframe how you see what's coming in, not always as something jarring or have to do, or boundaries is a big thing for menopausal women. Wherever we have bad boundaries is where we have the most stress. So figuring out, is there a place I need to be more firm with my no? I would love to help you. I'm not able or willing to do that at this time, but I can help you at this time, right? So boundaries are going to very much help that. But coming back to the small dynamics, maybe your partner brings you a cup of tea. You wanted coffee, but he brings you tea. So it's not what you wanted. You could get mad about it, or you could look up, smile and go, wow, thank you so much for thinking of me and bringing me tea. That's amazing. I really wanted a coffee, but thank you so much for just thinking of me and creating that. I'm not going to drink it right now, but thank you. So you don't have to necessarily drink it or be obliged, but it's the act of someone thinking about you, doing a little tiny thing that supports you. You want to notice those and you want to appreciate those so that more of those start happening in your life. If we don't appreciate those small moments, they go away. Because the people in our life, they want to help, but if they don't feel like their help is doing anything, then they're going to stop. And then you're left with having to handle way more things. Delegation, delegation, delegation. I cannot tell you enough. Like, thinking that you are an island and you have to do it alone, absolutely not. Are there other members of the family? Are there other members of the community? Is there a different way for you to support your parents where you don't have to at every drop of the hat jump up and help them? I mean, in some situations it's hard if you're in transition between a person being functional and say they have getting dementia and they're becoming very dysfunctional and you haven't moved them into assisted care place or you can't afford to do that. Okay, so then how can you get some support where you're not the person who's always 24 hours available? It's really important for people to consider that. We don't consider it. We say, no, it's not possible. There's nothing available. That's not true. Ask around, just say in your community, I'm exhausted. Would somebody be willing to come spend like an hour a week with my parents? And just like being able to be vulnerable enough to ask for support is going to be a big one.
I
And
like,
then
yeah, boundaries and delegation.
boundaries, delegation, And the one that I mentioned is appreciation of the little things, the micro moments. I have found the more that I can focus on those little small moments, something that does delight me, something I am genuinely grateful for, and I speak it out loud, it creates more of magnetism toward. It makes me more open. It makes me see things differently. And then the person receiving that compliment or reflection suddenly also wants to support me more, wants to connect me more, wants to have, it creates a generative energy, is all I'm saying. And if appreciation does come in, this is a hard one for women who are doers. Pause. Wow, thank you for noticing, or just thank you. Because that's really important to the nervous system. Always being in do mode is exhausting. Learning, I said, receive a breath, receive a touch, whether it's your own hand or someone else's. Receive a cup of tea, even if it's not the exact thing you wanted. Train the part of you that is receptive to actually have equal value to the part of you that is always giving, giving, giving.
I'm thinking about the woman. I don't know if you've heard of misophonia, or during this period of time, you see all these videos, and if your partner is breathing too heavy, even though he's not breathing heavy, I don't know, or suddenly your senses, your sense of smell can be heightened. You're like, God, this bad breath, or like
Yes,
all these like annoying
yes.
things that happen in menopause. Like you didn't have this problem before, but this is a lack of estrogen and you become much more sensitized. So I'm thinking, how do you get this sort of sense of appreciation when you're like, oh my God, stop breathing?
Bombarded, yes.
So is it about, because you said the yuck and the yum, and I'm thinking, okay, then if there's a yuck and it bothers you, then you gotta just maybe it initially just, where's the yum? Like how I'm so happy
Well,
he's alive and breathing at least. And
exactly. Or you can just, I mean, I will tell my partner, like, your breath is a little off right now, or whatever. It's not like a charge. It's just like, I'm noticing it because he will also say the same to me. Your breath is a little off right now. I'm like, okay, I'll go brush my teeth. Or I like carrying a little bottle of the peppermint oil and just one drop, it just changes everything. I use a lot of aromatherapy in my life because I am very sensitive to smell. I always have been. And I try and create in my environment opportunities for, because that sense is so sensitive, that it can relax. It can ingest some yum if there is yuck around. And we've lived in some places where there's people use chemicals when they're cleaning, and it's so like invasive and awful that I've had to literally go, you will no longer clean my house with any of this stuff, even if it's an Airbnb or however long. I'm like, I have bought organic, unscented products, you will use that. So again, boundaries, asking for what I want, being able to delegate, direct, so that I minimize yuck and I maximize yum. And it starts one small choice at a time. Like really, we got to pick our battles. There's a lot going on. What's the one thing that, okay, I can tolerate that, but this thing I cannot. This is driving me bonkers. For me, it's like noise, like deek, deek, deek. I can't. I'm just like, ah.
yeah.
So I have to figure out, either I don't stay in that place, or the windows get closed and we use air conditioning, or I get earplugs. But what is a way for me to minimize that intense stimulation and then refocus on something that actually feels good to me?
Yeah, we got to find a way around it. And I increase my estrogen. I'm like, I think it's my hormones. You've had sensitivity before, so
Yeah.
that's like nothing new. But some women are going through menopause. You're like, why am I suddenly everything
Well,
smells bad, or everything, the sound is so intense?
let's reframe this just as an opportunity, though, because I love reframing things. Because when we reframe, we re-experience, because definition creates reality always across the board. Imagine for a moment you're getting a second chance at life, and the most beautiful thing that you have in possession, that is free, that informs everything, that keeps you safe, that actually is such a beautiful pleasure enhancer when you go in that direction, is your sensuality. Now your senses are becoming sensitive. How beautiful. So now you have the opportunity to go, I never smelled before like this. Okay, good. What are smells that you do like and enjoy? Put those close by. And if I'm in a public place, I will have often sometimes a tissue with a smell, or here we have lots of wild sage growing. I'll grab a piece of sage and just stick it in my nose because I can't stand the smell of exhaust or whatever. That's just happened. So really using the opportunity of going, oh, my sensuality is coming online in a way like I never knew before. How do I want to train it? I don't want to shut it down, but this is a bit intense. What could I give it where it becomes a yes to that one particular sense that's overwhelmed, whether it's hearing or tasting or smelling or
But
seeing?
why is it? Yeah, but the vagina doesn't get sensitive. Like everything else gets sensitive. You hear the women saying it's dead in
The
there.
vagina can get sensitive, Zora. So what has happened is a lifelong of ignoring her, a lifelong of not breathing into her, a lifelong of not actually touching the vagina the way she wants to be touched. We touch her the way that we've seen, like in porn or in movies or heard about, and or are even told by a therapist. And it's not the way the vagina wants to be touched. If you start to touch yourself in a way where that body part starts to bloom, you will be shocked at how much sensation and pleasure can come from even just holding a light point.
Yeah, that
You can
sounds. Yeah, yeah,
feel
yeah. I've seen. Yeah,
current coming out of that tissue when that tissue realizes you're present and really there. When
yeah.
you're present and really there, amazing things open. When you're just trying to make something happen, then there's numbness because the body doesn't like it. So the only way to tolerate this thing that's happening is to numb it out.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to let you go, but I want to talk next time. We'll kind of set this up because I want to have you
Yes.
on again. I'm gonna finish the nights, the 9 nights, or at least
Yes,
get.
because I would really love to hear more how that starts to transform your lovemaking with your partner, and maybe you're bringing it in a different way where, as I said,
Yeah,
he may be
I'm gonna
not watching
yeah,
anything.
use your techniques. I'm gonna see as well because I do see there was one. Yeah, there was one moment like when I was learning where we learned about instead of just thrusting everything, you can just arch your back and do this. It's
Yeah,
like a twerk, yeah, kind of a thing.
exactly,
I was like, oh,
exactly.
let's, yeah, I hope we can do that. And
Try it on yourself first, Zora. So
yeah,
try it on yourself first. Lay down on your own hand, your own finger inside, and try that feeling of moving your hips like away.
yeah,
Try it for
yeah.
yourself so you really get it. Oh, that's what's happening. And then when you're with your partner, again, maybe you're on top and you're lying right on him, you can try it again. You experiment. You're like, oh. And then if he is, you can hold his hips and just with the
Yes.
most gentleness, like guide that for a few moments and see what emerges. Because it's quite beautiful when the bodies start to synchronize.
I think it's important because to actually see and visualize because if I just saw that myself, it'd be hard to translate to him. And then after we watched the video, I was like, you could see he was like trying a little bit, didn't really happen. But I shut my mouth. I was like, I'm not going to instruct or say, because I felt like it would diminish his ego if I was like, no, do it like in the video where he was.
Yeah. But then you can instruct with touch and
Yeah.
with reassuring. Yes, 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 yes. It's
Yeah.
starting to happen. Oh my God, that's so cool. Wow, look at what we're doing. So that it's not like you're getting it wrong, but
Yeah.
there's a discovery period around movement, right?
Hmm.
And so his body needs to also calibrate and discover that it actually feels really good for me too to try this new different movement. And at first it's awkward, but then eventually it becomes just part of his.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it was important for him to at least see
Mhm.
that. I don't know if I could instruct him myself, but I think there's different parts. We'll see. I'm going to see if
Yeah.
I can get him in again. If not, I'm going to be doing it myself and
Yeah.
then try some of the techniques that you shared. But I really love it. I think it was really practical for me, kind of what I was looking for because
Yeah.
done some other programs. I think they're great, but it wasn't quite for me. I'm just going to continue because I want to
Fantastic.
get the
Well, I want to
practical
say one
stuff.
last thing. In the Embodied Love University, we're going to be opening something called the Love Lab. And
What's
that's
that?
going to be where once a month we give a couples practice and a solo practice. And then you're going to play with those things that month. And then we're going to do a live Q&A on Zoom where you can just come on and go, this worked, this didn't work. And then you hear all the other people also share. And the learning, the exponential learning when human beings have a shame-free, just very respectful place and space to speak and to be able to say, well, I tried it, but it didn't work. And then we ask questions. We're like, and then we give some clarification, and suddenly they're off and running. So we really love those live pieces. It's going to be called the Love Lab, and it's something we're opening up very soon in the university. So
Oh, well, keep us posted. And I will have links to your website as well in the show notes. I mean, you do have so many things. I mean, you can go to the YouTube Embodied Love Lounge. We've
yes.
got your email. We've got LinkedIn and Instagram, self-love meditation. I just listened to that. That was really nice. It's a gift for us listeners. And you have Awaken the Sensual Woman, Embodied Love University, anything that everyone, if you're curious to try this with me, go for it. You can have 10% off with the code Zora, and just go to the website. You'll see loads of stuff. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, so I thought for me, I'm going to start with this, and then I'd like to
Yes,
dip my toes in other
exactly.
things.
But the university, the first level is free. We really want to raise the bedroom IQ of humanity. So it's free. You just get a profile. And then you have the 5 foundational videos. These are the 5 things we think every human being, if they understood that, would just really up their bedroom IQ and actually feel a lot more confident and better in this arena. And then from there, you can kind of pick and choose your adventure. But we just really want to hold your hand and support your journey and do it in a way from good grounded science, but also deep embodiment and also just the celebration of this facet, this important facet of life, which is to live connected.
I love it. Is there anything else you'd like to share of the things that are coming up before we let you go? We've got the Love Lab. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, well, the Love Lab will be released soon, and I have a women's community that's going on in there. Aaron's starting a men's community. The YAF is the men's program. So if there are male listeners, or for the ladies who have male partners who really want to kind of understand, or maybe there is dysfunction that you want to repair, maybe there's just optimization, YAF addresses all of that. It's quite an extraordinary 21-day program. So we look
In the women's community, is this like a membership? What is
at.
that?
Yep, as a membership, I come on once a month. I do a live practice with the women, and also once a month I do a live Q&A. And last night was so rich. I cannot tell you, like the conversations we're having, they're so real, and including one about orgasm, but it's all relationship dynamics. My partner doesn't do what I like. And so we have these very rich conversations. And then if you're a member, you have access to all the archives of those conversations because there's just hundreds of hours of, so you can really start informing yourself and feeling very confident in this area that you're not alone, that your situation isn't weird or awkward, and that there are solutions.
Oh, I love that. I think community is everything. So
Yeah.
get me in there.
Yeah,
I want
awesome.
to hear everybody else's stories and know that I'm not the one weirdo.
Great.
And
Awesome,
that's what we're
Zora.
trying to do here. Next time I meet with you, because you talked a little bit about erotic intelligence, the erotic
Mhm.
mind, and we know that the brain is the biggest sex organ possible. So I would love to dive in to some of
Perfect.
the more, a little bit more of the brain and how we can use that to
Absolutely.
improve
Well,
our.
there's a fun quiz in the university on discover your erotic type, like what type of mind do you have erotically? And then from there, within that, we also invite you to explore other ways of moving your erotic mind. So
Oh,
that's
I
fun.
like it. Well, I know that I'm a little bit of a sapiosexual, like
So
that
am I.
intelligence like drives me wild. So
Yes.
we'll have to we'll have to dive into that. And I'm excited for
Perfect.
our next meeting. And if anybody else wants to get in touch with you, please go to the show notes. You'll find Dr. Saida. She's obviously fabulous. And if you got to the end of this podcast, thank you so much for listening and being here with us. We truly value and your time. And thank you, Dr. Saida, for sharing
Such a
your time with
pleasure.
us.
Truly, what you're doing with this community and your mission is so, so important. So thank you for having me on, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone.